I suppose what we've done, and it's reasonable to do it, is a comparative analysis as to how Ukrainians are treated in different EU countries. But it's not always comparable. So particularly if you go to the east, where there are large Ukrainian communities, most people, for example, are staying in private homes. Ireland's very different. Most Ukrainians in Ireland have no links to Ireland, and they're staying in hotels. So, it's not that you can have a one-size-fits-all model. Romania and Poland are very different places to Ireland and Portugal, for example. We don't at the moment have any plans to cut support for Ukrainians, and I'm not sure how that would work at the moment. We do want to obviously encourage Ukrainians who can to enter the workforce, to become self-sufficient, to take up employment, to provide for their own accommodation and their own needs. But that's not going to be possible in all cases. A lot of Ukrainians who are in Ireland barely speak English. Some are women who've a number of children to look after. It's not practical for them to become self-supporting. And I can't imagine a situation where we would just cut them off.
How would the government would the government try and incentivise some Ukrainians that would be able to work to kind of shift out of private accommodation and into, I suppose, integrating society?
One thing you are doing now, for example, is that we're asking Ukrainians who live in hotel accommodation to make a contribution towards towards their meals and their expenses, essentially, and that arose because there was a disparity there. If a Ukrainian person took up a place in somebody's house, for example, or took up a place in an empty apartment, or we'll say an empty house, they would have to pay for their own utilities, their own meals. Yet in the hotel they didn't, and that was an issue that arose. But we're dealing with that by requiring over time that they would make a contribution.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.